BJC Adventures. Carl here, and today I'm in Brierley Hill in the Black Country town of Dudley, and today I'm going to take a look back in time and show you something that happened back in 1869 here in Brierley Hill, when industry was pretty much at its peak. And well, let's say peak isn't the word. A disaster happened in that year, and it was a very strange disaster because of the rescue effort to rescue the survivors of it. And we're going to take a look at the 9 Locks pit disaster and what happened, and take a look at the backstory and see what it looks like today, and well, pretty much see what other things we can find today about that incident all those years ago. So let's take a look at that story now. In March 1869 there was a mining accident at the Earl of Dudley's 9 Locks pit in Brierley Hill. 13 miners, including men and boys, were trapped underground for a week following a flood. As the days passed, the group huddled together for warmth. Some got so hungry they ate the candles they had with them, leaving them all in darkness. Following this, some even ate the leather on their shoes. Also, they managed to eat pieces of coal just to survive. A full-scale rescue effort was undertaken above ground, as the mine was owned by the Earl of Dudley. The equipment was good for the day. It had a pump that lifted 250 gallons with each stroke, and a tank that drew 2.5 tons of water every time. The actions of the tank removing the water meant that fresh air kept circulating, keeping the miners alive. Eventually the miners were reached on a raft. All but one survived. It is our painful duty to record the particulars of the most appalling colliery accident which has ever happened in the place of this part of Staffordshire. The miners trapped were named as follows: Zachary Pearson, age 50, David Hickman, age 23, Thomas Sankey, age 14, Thomas Timmins, age 14, Stephen Page, age 26, Benjamin Higgs, age 47, Timothy Taylor, age 24, John Holden, aged 30, John Handley, aged 48, Thomas Hunt, aged 35, George Skidmore, aged 21, William Ashman, aged 47, and Joseph Pearson, aged 14. And that's everything about the 9 Locks pit disaster. Terrible, really, wasn't it? You know, you just go to work and something like that happens, but you know what they actually had to do, you know, eat the leather of the shoes and eat the candles, because of course back then candles were made of pretty much animal fat. But I really wouldn't like to eat a candle even if it was made of animal fat, and well, it was awful to think back. And you know, those days the health and safety didn't exist really, did it? So yeah, just one of those things what happened. And of course around these areas it was full of those sort of places. So let's go and have a look at the 9 Locks and see what we can find of where it all happened. It's obviously changed over the years, so but we're going to have a look anyway. Well, if you think back of all the industry, what was all around the Black Country, and a lot of the pits and industry like Round Oak, it was all owned by the Earl of Dudley, and a lot of money went into it by all accounts to, well, basically make money. And you've got the sign there, Birmingham Canal, navigating Dudley Canal, Delph Top Lock. This is one of the 9 locks, this is number 1, and of course you've got the 9 locks bridge just there, and that leads you to the rest of the locks all the way down the canal. If you've got a boat, a barge, whatever you like to call them around the Black Country, I always call them a boat or a barge, but you know, it would be frustrating to keep going through all these locks, wouldn't it, really? Keep stopping and unlocking and going through. Very frustrating experience, I imagine. There's a number 2 lock, and as you can see, all the way down, right the way down the hill to the rest of the locks, you know. So, you know, around these parts, this would obviously have been filled at the time with lots and lots of industry coming through here. You had like coal and all sorts coming through here over the years, maybe even steel. Overloading the boats didn't matter in those days, did it really? But they would have come through here. But it's a lot quieter these days. I suppose people may avoid these locks, maybe. Who knows? Because of having to unlock them all. Who knows? I mean, if you just look at that year on that slab overlooking the canal, 1858. So that's been there quite a few years, hasn't it, really? If you think about, you know, what's happened since then, and that's been there all that time, and that has really seen some Black Country industry come through here. Well, you do see a lot of these buildings along the canals, and if you actually go to the one part, the Netherton side of Netherton Tunnel, there's one there and it's been made into a cafe, and that's a good idea. I don't know what they're doing with this one. I think they are old boat yards, I believe. I'm not quite sure. I imagine they are old boat yards. I don't think they're used anymore, especially this one. Well, this is actually a fairly deep lock. Now the one at Tipton is in Factory Road, Tipton. That is quite deep, but this is even deeper by the look of it, I suppose because of the height of the hill. So yeah, it's a frustrating time if you're a boatman. And if you look at these canals, I mean, originally they were used for industry, but of course they do have some beauty about them, don't they? Especially when you see like what look like waterfalls where the water drains off somewhere else. You can just imagine, can't you, when that, you know, the pit accident happened here. All of this was pretty much sort of, probably look the same, but some parts have been updated. But all of this pretty much was still here, wasn't it? And this saw that disaster. The famous 9 locks. Quite tranquil, if you like, around here. Especially as you get down towards the lower part of this area. We've got all water here, and it's just all pretty much cascading down into the canal. And if we take a look, it's quite a walk down here actually. It really is. It's nice though. Dog walkers and bike riders. As we've got to lock number 6, it sort of opens up a little bit as the trees have been pretty much cut down. And you can see we've got all houses and whatnot as we go down to lock number 1. From number 1, and we're heading to number 9. We've now got to lock number 7 and lock number 8 and 9 is just there. reached lock number 9. This is Black Delph Bridge, and it's strange really because obviously this bridge was built after these canals, because they've actually built it up to the end of the canal lock. This is the end of the canal lock, and that goes back up to lock number 1. But at the moment, this is lock 9. I suppose unofficially there is a 10th lock, but that 10th lock is a pub, and this is the pub, the 10th lock, and this is just at the end of lock number 9, and it looks a nice pub. I don't think I've ever saw this before. It's a smart looking pub, yeah, very modern, not been in, but yeah, it looks quite smart, right along the canal side. We're going to head back up to lock number 1 now, and we're going to take a look at the locations of the 9 lock pit disaster way back into the 1800s. Be warned, it is different, it does look different, of course it would, but let's go and have a look at those places of where that terrible disaster happened. Now this is the actual area where the mine was, the 9 locks mine, and if you look across here, I mean this has all been here quite a few years. This has been here well over 100 years, and this is basically where it all happened really. I mean this is all where the pit was. Obviously these factories are here, and there's still some remnants of the actual what was here before. I mean if you look at today, you know, it doesn't look much different. You've had all these factories added since, but you know, as you can see, these actual buildings, I mean these are very old. You can see they're very old, they've seen some times, and you can see little remnants as well. I mean if you look just there, you can see a pipe. That has obviously always been there before these factories was put here, I imagine. They've never been moved, they've been kept here. So they are proper remnants of what was here when the pits and the mines were here. And you can actually see another pipe there, just to the right of that tree. That would be what drained the water on that day, or one of those parts of the water would help, of course, help with the miners to try and get them out of, you know, the accident that happened there, and that would be where the water would have come from, all along this area. I mean you can just imagine the amount of, you know, industrial revolution history what come through here. You know, I mean this was the main area of the Earl of Dudley's, you know, revolution of owning the industry of the Black Country. This is where a lot of the Dudley and Black Country history happened, along with places like Tipton, of course, and you know, you're going to Wolverhampton. But you know, he didn't live far from here, did he, by all accounts, the Earl of Dudley? So, you know, he would come pretty much around where he sort of was from and built his empire. We've now made it to the back part of Brierley Hill town centre, and if you look where you see the shop there, Pound Stretcher. Now Pound Stretcher has been there quite a while, but not as long as what happened back here in the mining disaster. Where you see that building would be roughly where the actual disaster happened and the rescue effort happened, and where they basically pulled out all of the survivors of that mining disaster. Now obviously it's going to look different. Even a lot of the old Victorian buildings that you would see around Dudley probably wasn't there back then. So this road has popped up over the years, and a lot of people probably don't really realise what actually happened here, or the history what happened here. But this is where it pretty much all was when disaster struck on that day. And just here opposite Pound Stretcher you see a Dulux decorating centre now, or decorator centre. Now you wouldn't think it now, but this is roughly where all the disaster happened. It went right across what's the road now, right up to here, and apparently it was where the door of the decorator centre is now. Now, it does make you think, doesn't it? You know, underneath here, what's still left? You know, if you think about at the bottom of here, it must have been a really awful experience, of course. But you are looking at where it all happened. Right by a decorating centre. And right opposite what's now Pound Stretcher in Brierley Hill. And that's it for today on CJC Adventures. Been a good day, looked at some history, hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and please like, please subscribe, and please share. And until next time, look after yourselves and each other. Goodbye for now.
Around, I just keep going.